Good morning, grade 9 students. Today we can go through title justification of the lesson, the fun they had. The title quite suits the story, the fun they had. The two characters, Tommy and Margie, one is 11 and 13. What they have done, they found an old book and learned how the schools were different in the past from their time and how much fun the children studying in those schools had. It also gives us a glimpse of future education even. So we can easily say that the title, the fun they had, has justified. Now when we come to the characters, Margie character, she is an 11-year-old girl who represents future students in the 22nd century. She is a typical young girl who dislikes school, which is highly personalized and includes a television and a mechanical teacher. Do you know what is mechanical teacher? Nothing but yesterday we have discussed in our class. Robo. She studies in the comfort of her home. Her homework is checked by her mechanized teacher, a computer, or a robo you can say, and she also gets lessons from it. Margie does not like her school because she's confined to a room and has a study alone at a fixed time every day. Margie is a curious girl when she finds a real book in Tommy's hands. She's eager to know about its contents. In fact, she wants to read the book herself. However, she's surprised that the book describes a school of the yesteryears. Yesteryears means old years. Okay, which had real men as teachers, and classes were conducted in a special building. In which way now we are having the classes in schools in the same manner. Understood? She is fascinated to learn that in those times the students of the same level studied together, it seems. She concludes that the old system was much, much better as the students had so much fun, in which you have in Vidyanjali, when they studied together and could help each other. Or one more thing I can add, where you can fight each other also. It is through Margie that the author has projected as contrast between the schools of today and the schools of the future. That's all about Margie. Now the second character is Tommy, who is a 13 years young boy, and he also plays an important role in the story, as he is the one who finds a book about the schools from yesteryears. The entire action of the story begins after that. He represents the students of the future era, which education will be absolutely mechanized and automated. Tommy was a very curious boy. As soon as he discovers a real book means an old book where he saw, he starts reading it. Okay, whenever we find a book, only some of the students will be reading that. Then they'll keep aside. If mobile is there, if a new mobile, totally what will be doing it, will be keep on searching the features, how they work and all. But here Tommy is not searching the mobile, but he was searching the old book what he found. And then, however, he does not like the idea of printed books, which according to him are waste once they have been read. Compared to Margie, he is not as sensitive to the contents of the book. He has an air of superiority. He snubs Margie when she expresses her ignorance about old schools. But he does believe in sharing. And when Margie's mother calls her to attend the school, he assures her that they can finish the book later. Tommy has been used by the author to contrast the school education of the 12th century with that of the 22nd century. This is all about the two characters of the lesson, the fun they had. Now please turn on your textbooks and come to page number 5. Once again I repeat, please take your textbooks and come to page number 5. Right? When you look at the picture here, The Fun They Had, which was written by Isaac Asimov. Already before you read, some sentences are there. The story we shall read in set in the future, when books and schools, as we now know them, will perhaps not exist. How will children study then? Here some diagram is given there. Below maybe give you some ideas. Learning through computers, virtual classroom. Virtual classroom. What's the meaning of it? Virtual classroom. Virtual means not real. It seems to be in a reality, but not actually real. That is called virtual. So virtual classroom, robotic teacher, moving e-text. E-text in the sense electronic text. Okay, now let's move on to the paragraph. Margie even wrote about it that night in her diary. On the page headed 17th May 2157, she wrote, "Today Tommy found a real book." She wrote it in her diary. It was a very old book. Margie's grandfather once said that when he was a little boy, his grandfather, now come to page number 6, told him that there was a time when all stores were printed on paper. What the grandfather said, it seems, there was a time, in his time. That means, what is the time there? In his yesteryears. Yesteryears in the sense, old days, at his time, at his grandfather's time, when all stories were printed on paper. We know now, the present generation where we are, we know all these such things. See, as soon as you get the new textbooks, new books you purchase now, some of them they cover, some of them they will be giving for binding. So we are running with the books, right? They turned their pages, which were yellow and crinkling. How are the pages, it seems? Yellow and crinkling. Yes, they have sent you a pic in such manner, with many folds or lines like that, crinkling in the sense, that's the meaning here. And it was awfully funny to read words that stood still instead of moving the way they were supposed to on a screen, you know. And then when they turned back to the page before, it had the same words on it that it had when they read it this first time. What's the meaning here? Is it a printing mistake you're thinking that had when they read it was the first time? Here, what is this? Here, the word had. Naturally, have, all these words are auxiliaries. Here, the auxiliary have helps in the formation of the present perfect continuous tense. Understood? Have can also be used as a main verb, children. In this case, it is followed by an object. So, have is used as an auxiliary and also as a main verb. For example, as a main verb, have is used to talk about our possessions, relations, experiences, etc. See, I have a sister. She has a car. He has a nice job. I have breakfast at 8:30. I have a shower before I go to bed. So when have is used as an ordinary verb, it has a past and past participle forms. Okay. And the present perfect form of have is have had. And the past perfect form of have is had had. Like had plus past participle form of the have itself. Okay. Now, the past perfect tense is used when we are talking about the past and want to refer back to an earlier past time. For this also, I'll take the examples. She felt marvelous after she had had a good night's sleep. They dismissed him before he had had a chance to apologize. So there is no wrong that had once I have experience. One student immediately he got up from the bench and sir, it has printed here 2 times had, they said. It's all just out of ignorance. Now this is the practical thing. Had is past perfect form of have. Clear? Now come to the concept of the lesson going on here. What's going on here? They turn turn back the page before it seems, and the same words on it that it had when they read it the first time it seems. Here, Margie's grandfather's grandfather time. Understood? In such a manner it's going on. Now let's move on to the second paragraph of page 6. Gee, said Tommy, what a waste. When you are through with the book, you just throw it away, I guess. Our television screen must have had 1,000,000 books on it, and it's good for plenty more. I wouldn't throw it away. Same with mine, said Margie. She was 11 and hadn't seen as many telebooks as Tommy had. Telebooks means electronic books. Okay, as Tommy had. He was 13. Already we have discussed about their ages yesterday also. She said, where did you find it? In my house. He pointed without looking because he was busy reading in the attic. Attic means, if you come to the right column, in the middle of the same page in the textbook, it was there, the meaning. Attic, a space just below the roof, used as a storeroom. What's it about? School. They asked, what's the book about? The answer come out, what is that? School. In the third paragraph, it goes on like Margie was scornful. Scornful means contemptuous, showing you think something as worthless. Beautiful language. School? What's there to write about school? I hate school. Margie always hated school, but now she hated it more than ever. The mechanical teacher had been giving her test after test in geography, and she had been doing worse and worse until her mother had shaken her head sorrowfully and sent for the country inspector. What is this country inspector? Don't get worried. When you come to the fourth paragraph, the meaning itself is there in the first line. Okay, see that in the fourth paragraph. Who was the country inspector? A round little man with a red face and a whole box of tools with dials and wires. He smiled at Margie and gave her an apple, then looked the teacher apart. Margie had hoped he wouldn't know how to put it together again, but he knew how all right, and after an hour or so, there it was again, large and black and ugly, with a big screen on which all the lessons were shown and the questions were asked. That wasn't so bad. The part Margie hated most was the slot where she had to put homework and test papers. She always had to write them out in a punch code they made her learn when she was 6 years old, and the mechanical teacher calculated the marks in no time. Okay, what happened here? She was so scornful, and she hates school. Margie hates school very much. In the meanwhile, the country inspector came. He entered with toolbox. Okay, like hardware engineer we can say. The country inspector in the sense. Okay, hardware engineer nowadays. With dials and wires it seems. And what happened? He came, smiled at Margie, and given her an apple, and then took the teacher apart. Automatically, what happened? With a large big screen on which all the lessons were shown and the questions were going on this electronic screen there. But that wasn't so bad. But Margie hated most all this putting homeworks, test papers, all these things. Now, like in which way now, when we are giving homeworks, maybe some of you putting in a lopsided face. Okay, she always had to write them out in a punch code. It seems they made her learn in such a manner. what the slot here, a given space or time or position, the meaning is given there itself. And then the mechanical teacher calculated the marks in no time. Marks in no time. So we have completed the first 4 paragraphs and also the title justification, characterization of Tommy and also Margie, and then we completed the first 4 paragraphs. Tomorrow I can continue the remaining lesson. Up to now, what I want you to do is go through the lesson once again and summarize up to 4. Summarize up to 4 paragraphs and then find out some meanings for some words, like what about grandfather's issue, what he has said, and what about the real book here, and the word ghee, what does it mean, what a waste, why Tommy says why it is waste. Okay, I need the situations. It helps you for passage questions. Okay, and what are telebooks, and why Margie is scornful. So each paragraph you make, you frame 2 questions and answer. So your homework is, it's very clear. From each paragraph, up to 4 we completed now. From each paragraph you frame 2 questions and write the answers. Right? That's all for today. We can meet in the next class. Thank you. Have a good day.